Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
How would you like to achieve your first million? And today we have Alex, the founder of Bidding Come On Demand. So Alex, tell us, what are the 5 steps to make your first million?
Well, in order for you to get to that goal, there are lots of different ways how you could get there. But so first of all, you need to identify a profitable niche or a problem that you can solve in the marketplace. Then after that, you can create a scalable offer with the right pricing strategy. Then after that, you will start building the audience and cultivate those relationships. So figuring out who's your ideal client and have that product market fit so that your audience understands what you're talking about. Because a lot of times entrepreneurs would just run, let's say they would just create content, they would just promote, but their audience wouldn't necessarily understand the connection. So it's extremely important to have the product market fit. Then the fourth step is to systemize sales as well as client acquisition. And then step 5 is reinvest profit for growth, and you can scale to as much as you want to.
Okay, so Alex, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Why you decide to become an entrepreneur?
Why did I decide? That's an interesting question. So I started my entrepreneurial career as, I would say, my first experience was joining a network marketing company, and I was kind of doing door-to-door sales. That was one of the strategies that they were talking about. So I started doing that, going for pretty much going after businesses or people that would work at different places, like locally, because I knew that they have nowhere to go because they're there because they have to work. So I would just approach them that way. And then I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that's when everything kind of shifted for myself in my head. Because prior to that, it's again go to school, get good grades, 9 to 5, and then you retire, and well, that's pretty much our life, right? So when I read that book, my dad recommended me to read it. A lot of things changed in my head, and I started going to different events, networking, different conferences, started learning more and more and more about entrepreneurship and what it's all about, and like how to start a real business.
Yeah. And then Alex, now how important do you think, I talk about clients acquisition, a client acquisition system, which is one of the most important, probably the most important thing in business, because if you don't have a client, you have nothing. Yeah.
No sales, no business. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. But then, how your client, especially your first clients, when nobody knows you, nobody knows who you are, and what are the techniques that companies should be doing out there in order to acquire those first clients when they are in the startup status, which is very challenging, right?
It is, yeah. So I would say the first go-to would be to start building relationships, and they could either do it through LinkedIn if they want to do it online, and mix that with cold emails. That's what we usually like to do with our clients that are kind of new to the industry, the online world, let's put it this way. So we do a mix of LinkedIn, the outreach plus emails, and at the same time meeting people in person and going to networking events. There are different types of networking events. Not all of them are the same, because sometimes you go to a networking event and people start pitching you their services right away. And that's not the type of networking events I'm referring to. We actually started our own this year. Like we already had 3 networking events and gonna finish with the 4th one. But those 2 things are, I would say, the first steps that the person would need to take in order to start getting some traction. Because if nobody really knows you, like, you know how it works. People buy from you when they know, like, and trust you. So you do need to build that trust. That's one way. Another way is start creating content and showing your expertise on there. That part will take a bit more time. So it really depends on the time frame. And most of the times people want to get results as soon as possible. So in the beginning, it's mostly focusing on the outreach, plus mixing that with the content. If they do have a budget to invest in the business, they could definitely run ads. But then again, when it comes down to the ads, you need to know who's the ideal audience. You need to have the product market fit. And that's where it takes a bit of testing. So in the beginning, it's better to do it organically to figure out to maybe do the survey, ask your ideal clients or your potential clients questions that would matter to you. And that way you could use that information in your content and in your marketing.
And Alex, so but when it comes to customer acquisition, sometimes we have to do the numbers properly because it cannot be more expensive than the product that we're selling and the profit that we're making. And sometimes these Facebook ads, YouTube ads, and some of them they're very expensive. Any advice that you have for the entrepreneurs listening, how they can get the cost down, or how they can get customer acquisition more affordable?
Yeah, so when it comes down to the CPA, the cost to acquire a client, if the entrepreneur can figure out that number, the sky is the limit.
Which number you
Because
recommend? What percentage?
honestly, it
What
depends
percentage?
on
Let's say if the product is £100,
and
$100, what
yeah,
percentage they should be spending in acquiring the client?
at least 20%.
Minimum
Yeah,
20%,
at
right?
least 20%. Yeah. That's kind of a standard as a rule of thumb. Like even in our case, we are willing to spend about 20%. And I'm sure you've heard of the saying, the person who's willing to spend the most, or the business who's willing to spend the most to acquire a client wins. Because the idea is that you do need to have a product, a front end product that would bring those clients in, and then upsell them something on the back end, which would be your main offer. Like you would never necessarily sell the main offer unless you do, let's say, B2B, and you go after bigger companies. Most of the times you pretty much go after, like you present the main product itself. So it depends on the business itself as well. If it's a B2C, honestly, it's both. If it's B2B, B2C, it's about 20%. Because in our
Minimum
case,
20%, yeah. When they
yeah.
start up, could be even a little bit higher, right? When
Yeah,
finding the
because
first client, right?
yeah, because nobody knows them. So it does take a bit more. And that's why I'm saying like it's better for them to do to start reaching out organically, pretty much manually. I mean, they could automate the process. Like there are so many different tools that they could use, like Dripify for LinkedIn, Apollo. And again, I'm covering LinkedIn because that's where you could work with professionals or business owners. But if it's, let's say, a business that is like a local business, like a gym or spa, that's like a beauty clinic that starts, a dentist. In their case, honestly, the best strategy would be to go after using Facebook and Instagram ads, and have a really good front end offer. Because people come in, they get to try the service, they get to see what it's like working with them, and then they can sell the main product or the main service.
But then, Alex, but finding the first client. This is also, guys, that use this. There is this area also you can help the startup founders finding the first clients. The first client.
Yeah, of course. So again,
You can sit with the guys and create the strategy, right?
yes,
Find
yeah,
that very
because
first client when you have a startup and nobody knows you.
yeah,
Correct?
exactly. So in
Very
case
challenging, yeah.
to find the first client, if nobody really knows you, yes, in the beginning, but honestly, you can get
With
it
the right strategy, is possible, right, Alex?
100%. Like you can get the first client in I would say 14 to 30 days.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, that's real. That's very real. But it depends. So if you do the homework, let's put it this way, and you know who's the ideal client, you know what their pain points are because you want to sell on you basically want to resolve their problem, help them resolve the problem. So if your product or service, if your offer can resolve their problem at this point, and you make it a no-brain offer, like in the movie The Godfather, when he says, "I'll make you an offer so good, you won't be,
You cannot
you will
refuse.
not be able." Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So, but then sometimes the issue, Alex, is that you are a company and you're solving a problem for a bigger company, and it's difficult that this bigger company listen to you. So what way more effectively to approach this bigger company? Because sometimes we are a small company and providing solution for a big company, and people always said that the fish cannot eat a fish bigger than themselves, and sometimes this is where the challenge start, no?
Yeah. Honestly, not necessarily. So usually, if we're gonna take on average, the standard sales cycle is on average it's about 60 to 90 days, based on the example that I gave. A smaller company going after a bigger company, like in this
Wow,
case, it would be.
you can make that
it-
make it happen in 90 days. That's amazing.
Yeah, usually that's like an average standard sales cycle. So from the moment you get in touch with people, with that person, and then you do the follow-ups, you do the outreach, you have multiple touch points, and especially these days, I don't know if you've heard of the rule. The Google did studies, and they wanted to see how much time it takes a person to become a client. So these days, and it doesn't matter whether it's offline or online. So these days, they called it 7-11-4. So it takes 7 hours of content for consumer to consume, basically for prospect to consume, have 11 touch points across 4 different channels.
Mhm. So if we have
Because
a so if we have how many hours? 7 hours of content?
yeah, 7 hours of content. So let's say the person sees your well, since you mentioned the business, let's take LinkedIn as an example. So you connected with a person, you do post on LinkedIn, they get to see your content on a consistent basis. You could also in the outreach, like you don't sell when you reach out to the person, don't ever sell or try to sell in the first note when with the option where you send the note. Don't ever do that because you want to get many connection accept, like not many people will accept the connection request. And even when they accept the connection request, also like don't sell, like build the relationships and be social because social media is all about being social and people forget that. And then there's like, in our case, we have an entire sequence of 4 messages that we send out. Plus, we link it up with, so we use a tool called Dripify. So that tool takes their email and then we withdraw, we get their email, and then through our email marketing platform, we send them an email automatically. So, and the reason we do that is because we want to have multiple touch points. So at this point, they are your connection. They get to see your content because you post. They see your messages, and again, they're not sales. You're there to help them basically, and you want to help them by actually helping them.
Uh,
And then you also reach out to them through through email because not everyone is as active on LinkedIn as maybe you are, let's say. But through email, you could say something like, "Hey, I don't know, Max, we just connected on LinkedIn, wanted to reach out to you through email, to make sure maybe that you see my that you saw my message that I sent you on LinkedIn." And at this point, it's not a cold email anymore, it's a warm email because you're reaching out and you have a reason to reach out. So now you have another touch point. And then from here, you can basically go on and have those 11 touch points. And again, it's on average 11. But in today's world of information, where we have way too much information, it does take a bit of time to have those touch points.
let's talk about the people developing the product. Yeah, that sometimes the entrepreneur they take all the money and effort and they remortgage the house and they create and they ask all the money to family and friends to develop this amazing product, saying, okay, this product is amazing and this product is going to change the world. And I believe so much in this product. It's so good that the clients are going to come. Yeah. And after they remortgage the house and then they spend all the money on family and friends building the product, now they don't have the 20% that it costs to bring this product to market. Minimum, because if it's an startup, it's going to be more expensive than that.
Mm-hmm.
So they cannot even come to you because they don't have the fund, the resources to come to you to help them out. So what message do you have for those entrepreneurs out there that still don't understand that the customer acquisition process, without that, you don't have any business. Without clients, you don't have any business. And this element shouldn't be left for the end, and where there is no resources, when everybody's tired, when there is no money, uh, go out on then is when you actually want to sell it and sell the product. Whether even a more sustainable idea would be to build the community, build the database, ask the community what kind of product they want, what kind of product they want to pay for it, what they want, and then after you develop based on the feedback, because you guess what, when you do it, you're gonna present it to the community, and this community will buy it, and the process will be very smooth and very easy. But everybody's doing the other way. Everybody building products without the without community, without thinking that it's gonna work. And then even they bring it to an expert like you to find the first client. It's gonna be challenged because you have a raw product, and then now you have to create that audience, create this communication with the market, and get feedback, and exactly, it's a testing process, like you said. Sometimes take longer because the product is not fit for the market. So what can you tell to the entrepreneurs that they don't take customer acquisitions, sales, marketing seriously? They leave it for the for the end, and some of them, they want to pay ridiculous commissions, yeah, because they don't have any money, they don't have anything, or they think that this is something easy that everybody can do. So what can you tell to those entrepreneurs?
Honestly, engage with them if they don't necessarily have the budget. The best way for them to do is start creating content and start educating market about their product.
And
Because
yeah, that's the only choice if they run out of money,
yep,
and then it's gonna take longer, as you said, right?
it will. Yeah, it will, because it does take time to grow organically. If they do have a little bit, at least a little bit of budget to put behind it, they could take even the short form content, let's say the reels and shorts, and run ads targeting their digital audience, and they could literally spend as little as $5 a day to those with running those ads, and those would be engagement ads targeting their ideal audience. Because let's say when you post on social media, and whether it's on YouTube, and I'm referring to the short form content, so YouTube Shorts, maybe TikTok or Facebook and Instagram Reels, when you post organically, you won't necessarily know if the video is going to go viral. Like, even if you did all the research and you have the greatest hooks, the most irresistible hooks, and the 3 seconds, and like you went through all the rules, like you watched all the YouTube videos and what people are talking about, it doesn't necessarily mean that your videos are going to go viral, and you don't know how many views you're going to get. And even if you do go viral one way or another, that the main audience are not going to be your real clients most of the times. So what they could do is take those short clips that educate about the product, maybe not necessarily directly about the product, but maybe certain benefits of the product itself. And then take the short form content, run videos, and specifically engagement videos targeting their ideal audience, and create this pool of people. We call it invisible pipeline, because you don't necessarily get their contact information, like name, email, phone number, but Facebook and Instagram, and I'm currently referring specifically to them because that's what we are doing, that's what our clients are doing. Facebook and Instagram knows who engages with the content. So then at this point, now they can come to your page because they'll get to engage with it, especially if they do like it. Because again, the goal is to build that trust. So the know, like, and trust factor. So at this point, they get to know who you are or about the product itself. If they like what you're talking about, they'll keep on either following you or do whatever you want them to do. Take the action that you want them to take in the video itself.
So the engagement ads, they are powerful, right? And always depend on the platform. TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook and Instagram. It depends on the type of product, right?
Depends on the type of product and also the audience. So it depends if their audience is there. Like, and the reason why I'm saying Facebook and Instagram is because most people are on those platforms. Like, yeah, if you do go on after, let's say if it's an e-commerce brand, I mean, it's gonna work on Facebook, Instagram, but it will work on TikTok. Let's say if it's more of a service-based business, it's not gonna necessarily, I mean, it might work on TikTok, but the problem with TikTok is the attention span of people. People's attention span is like 3 seconds. Because most of the times people go to TikTok because they want to get entertained. In case with Facebook and Instagram, they're more mature platforms. Same thing with YouTube. And people are there to also maybe get entertained, but educated at the same time.
And they
And
will
I'm sure,
spend more time.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the quality, like I had, a meeting, I'll give you an example. So I had a meeting with a financial consultant, with a financial advisor, and he has a really big following on TikTok. He's like a young guy. But at the same time, he takes those videos, he repurposes them on Instagram, so Reels, Facebook Reels. I'm not sure if he does YouTube, but he does repurpose on Facebook and Instagram. And I, I asked, and the difference between the followers are like is huge. TikTok compared to his Instagram account is huge. Like on TikTok, he has about 45,000. On Instagram, it's a couple of thousand. And I asked him like, so well that's awesome. It's amazing like what he's doing because he was pretty much doing everything on his own and then he started working with someone. And I asked him like, where do you get the better quality of leads? Well, that was the first question that I asked him. He's like, it's honestly, he thought about it. He's like, it's Instagram. Like even though he does get messages on TikTok, but the quality of people that do ask about his services are coming from Instagram.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's not that, and those could be like pretty much, that could be exactly the same person, but it's just when they are on TikTok, they have a different mindset pretty much because they are there to be entertained.
I agree 100%. Yeah, it depends on the platform and how those platforms work, and especially YouTube, right? You know, when you type in YouTube, you're actually actively looking for the problem you have. That's why you
Yep.
find looking for the video to try to find the solution. So you're actually
Exactly.
actively looking. That also helps a lot, correct?
Exactly. So I know that younger generation now they started doing the same thing on TikTok. So they use TikTok as a search platform, and TikTok is developing that more and more. Like instead of going to Google, they'll go to TikTok because they know that they want to solve their issue, the problem they have fast, and they want to see how it's being done. Let's say like how do you change oil in your car? Like yeah, you can go to Google and you can type in and start reading the article, or you can get like a 20-second version of it in the video that shows you like 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know that the younger generation does go there and uses TikTok that way as well. But yeah, as we mentioned, YouTube, like nothing can beat YouTube at this point.
Yeah. Then Alex, what are the biggest challenge that you have building your company and how you overcome the challenge?
Oh, that's a good question. The biggest challenge would be honestly letting people building trust with people because today trust is at all-time low, and building trust and letting people know about the services that you have, but also at the same time there are so many other companies that are pretty much doing similar things and showing them why should they do business with you compared to other companies. So it really comes down to trust. And that's why we focus on the content. Like now we are working on building our YouTube channel as well. But because it does take more time, as I mentioned, the strategy with the short form videos and ads, that's what we're currently doing. So we take the short form content, we run ads targeting our ideal audience, and we let them consume our content. And based on that, like as a second step after that, that's something that your audience could do as well. You could retarget people that watch, let's say you could tell Facebook, Now show the offer, the main thing. Let's say maybe it's a training, maybe it's the main offer that you want to sell. Like you can send them to the website, fill out the form. You could retarget people that watched your previous content. So you could tell Facebook, now retarget people who watch at least 25% or 50% of the video. So we did a couple of tests. We do have like short form videos, like 30 seconds long, 1 minute long. With those ones, we would usually do 100% of the video. But we also ran ads that were 5 minutes long and 11 minutes long. So in that case, like some people would watch. So like when we first launched it in the first 2 weeks, like we looked at the numbers. From the 5 and 11 minute videos, we had about, I think it wasn't like anything huge or anything crazy, but we did have about 58 or 60 people that watched the entire video, which is amazing. Like they're our ideal clients because they were scrolling through Facebook and Instagram.
And
We
they
got their attention. And they stopped there. Yeah, they didn't go to YouTube to learn about it. They stopped right there and they watched the whole video, which means they do have the pain points and it's really important for them. So now we would retarget those people as well with the main offer. So at
yeah,
this point, we've built a trust with them because they could see like we know what we're talking about, and now they get to see how we can help them.
yeah, and at the end of the day, if the people watch the full video, they're really interested in what you have to offer, especially if they watch the 11 minutes.
Yeah,
If they watch the full 11 minutes, this is a very this a very hot prospect. Yeah.
it is. It is, yeah.
Uh,
And at the end, honestly, like the call to actions with these videos is not necessarily like go fill out the form, like go fill out the form or go to the website or send us. You could say something like, yeah, if you have any questions, message me. That's or like let me know below, like comment below. And that also increases more engagement because Facebook will see like so when saying Facebook, I'm referring to like all of it, Facebook, Instagram. So Meta, I'm still not used to them switching. Like Facebook is Facebook for me. So Meta will based on the algorithm, right? They will see that people are engaging, they like, they comment, they share, and they'll push that video even more.
Now let's talk about pricing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So because Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, they have different price range. It's under my understanding that TikTok is cheaper, right?
Honestly, and yes and no. So yes, it is cheap. So if we talk about
It's cheap, but
pricing,
can you really find good prospect there?
that's that's the next question, right? So when you say it's cheaper, are you referring to the cost per lead type of
Exactly.
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Cost for
yeah,
lead,
yeah.
cost for engagement.
Yeah, in case so the cost per engagement, honestly, both Facebook and TikTok, they pretty much have the same at this point
Oh wow.
because TikTok also plays the same game now because it's they grew up really fast during COVID and now they're pretty much on the same level in a way. But the quality of people, but again, it depends on the product, right? If it's more of an e-commerce, like it's easier for the person to click, go to the website, add to the cart, and buy the thing, TikTok works amazingly well. If it's more of a lead generation type of a thing, type of a campaign, you could use TikTok. Like the way I see TikTok is you could use that as a top of funnel. So you could just maybe you can create content definitely with purpose and run some engagement ads. So to build that top of funnel trust, and then have your maybe the link to the website um in the header itself. What I've seen people do as well is they move all of their traffic from TikTok to YouTube because you can connect your YouTube channel as well as your Instagram. But most of the times people either move their followers from TikTok to YouTube. So their followers from TikTok could consume long form content. So you could use TikTok as a top of funnel, like even run some ads, like there is nothing wrong with that, to grow your audience faster, but then send all of them to YouTube so they can get to consume the long form content and build more trust so they can spend more time with you, basically.
And
But
Alex,
yeah,
Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, no, so going back to your when you said if it's cheaper or more expensive, um, it does depend on the industry as well.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say if it's a gym, so far we've been mostly using Meta, Facebook and Instagram. It's been working amazingly well. Uh, Same thing goes for real estate, same thing for insurance. It does depend on the industry itself. Let's say like if it's a plumbing company, like a service that someone would need right now, the best place for you to advertise is on Google or maybe even YouTube as their targeting because Google owns YouTube. But if it's something like again a dentist or a gym, Facebook and Instagram has always worked.
Yeah. I think if the pros are very that demonstrable, yeah, that they can be showing. I think maybe TikTok and Instagram they're good platforms because people can see quickly what the product does, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you're there to educate your first like to educate the audience, maybe to show behind the scene with your team if that's something that you want to do as for the business itself because people are curious. So you kind of create a show out of your business in a way. Like you don't necessarily need to show the personal life because not not everyone likes that type of content or they don't necessarily want to show the personal life. Like they're okay with talking about the business itself. But yeah, Facebook and Instagram as well as TikTok, those are the platforms to show off the product or the service and educate the audience on it.
So, Alex, tell us if the entrepreneurs are listening this conversation and they want to learn more about the customer, how to systemize the customer acquisition process. Yeah. So, how they can find you guys? How this process work?
They could go to our website. It's buildingincomeondemand.com. And we do have a lot of different free resources that they could go over, different case studies they could look at, and maybe even see themselves in one of those and pretty much duplicate the process that we did for our clients. They could also listen to our podcast, the BAD Academy podcast, and yeah, learn how they could get more customers for their business.
And then, Alex, the other question is that we want that I want to ask you is because every time that something goes bad in the economy or the business goes bad, yeah, everybody they take the decision that okay, let's cut the budget in marketing and sales. That's the first things that they cutting, and it's because they see in this like an overhead rather than an investment, yeah. So whether it should be the opposite, because if your competitors are cutting the market, the the budgets in marketing and advertising, there is a great opportunity for you because those systems, Facebook, YouTube, they are works in bidding, meaning the price depends on how many people are targeting this audience. But if nobody's targeting this audience because everybody cut the budget, now
Yeah,
you have the whole
the whole
work for
market pretty
you
much.
and very cheap actually.
Yeah.
So what can you share with us that for so the entrepreneurs to understand that when everybody else is cutting the budgets for marketing and sales, you should be putting your foot in the gas because you can get more market share. But it seems that everybody do totally the opposite when times are bad. So why people do that, Alex? And what can you do to invite them to a different perspective? What is actually possible when the bad times are around? It's actually the better time for you to take market share, right?
Yep. Yeah, 100%. So I have a perfect story for you on this topic. So back in 20, at the end of 2019, 2020, we started working with the local gym. And, we all know what happened in 2020 in the beginning. So we worked with him for, let's say, yeah, it was end of 2019. So we worked for about 3, 4 months. So he started seeing like how things are working, started seeing some results. And then COVID hit, so everything had to shut down. So he did pivot into teaching online with his instructors and everything. But the one thing that he told us back then, he said, I don't want to stop advertising. Like, I want to keep going on. Yes, we did decrease the ad budget a little bit because he already had some sort of an email database. So we leveraged that, but we never stopped advertising and marketing. And a
He
year
finds
later,
clients online, right?
oh yeah. Like
And he makes money
everyone was
online.
exactly, yeah, everyone was training online. So then when the government started easing on restrictions, like people could train outside, that's what we started doing. Like that's what we started focusing on, pushing on as well. So those were basically when I said gym, it was group training classes, basically like a CrossFit type of a gym, kettlebell. So we were doing that. And I haven't seen any ads from any gym at that time in the area. So then when COVID was done, he was able to open a second location in the city nearby.
Wow.
Yeah, because the main location was like people would see the
Was too
ads all
full.
the time. Yes, and people would see ads all the time, and let's say because some people would work in them, so it was basically in Montreal, and then some people would come to Montreal to work from other areas, like from the outside of Montreal. And you know how it works when you're in the area, you're being served ads because you're in the area, especially like if you're in the target market. So now people would see them, of course, and they looked at the next bigger city close to Montreal. So they opened another location. We launched that. We did a pre-launch campaign, and that was a huge success. So he didn't stop advertising during that time. He didn't stop marketing. He
The-
was able to open the second location.
yeah. So exactly. So at the end of the day, because actually, when he's advertising at this time of COVID, yeah, and nobody else is advertising, you have a huge advantage in price, right?
Yeah,
Because nobody's bidding for your keywords.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
now those platforms they lower the price, which is amazing because it will lower your customer acquisition process, right?
Yeah, the cost per lead, the customer acquisition process as well. Yeah, because most gyms would be like at that point we were kind of going against the bigger guys like Peloton in a way
Wow, you
because
could.
well, yeah, because everything went online right at that point. So now everyone's like on the even play uh, on the even field. Um, but again, because it was more of a local gym, we were able to build that trust with people locally. So Peloton, yeah, it's just like a huge national, international company at this point. Uh, so we took that as an advantage being local, and we used that, and yeah,
Yeah, and
yes,
also you can do the ad local to this region as well, so it even can become cheaper because you target
yeah,
it to the region. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So Alex, what is the final tips that you recommend to business owners in order to build authority when they are developing the product? One of the biggest challenges that um, people don't know what type of content they can create that can actually uh, become viral or started to get them a following, because the following is going to be the first element of credibility and authority that
Yep.
companies can have out there, and this can be done manually if they know how to create the content effectively. So what are some tips that you have for entrepreneurs to create effective content to build authority online?
So the first thing that they can do and they should do is, well, of course, know their topic, the main topic, and then create subtopics. Then now take those subtopics and go to Google, go to YouTube, type it in, and then look at what are the biggest channels that talk about this topics. Like look at your competition pretty much. Maybe they're not your direct competitions, but they do talk about these topics. Look at how many views they've got. Take those exact headlines, pretty much, the names of the videos, and then recreate what they talk about in the like you could take the transcript of what they talk about in the video, take the full transcript, put it into ChatGPT, and ask it to rephrase the content. So it's not going to be exactly the same way because you could rephrase that, so paraphrase, and then also add your own stories. So now it's your content. Like you're just modeling what works. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Like people put in a lot of, like, trust me, people do put in a lot of work into running a YouTube channel, and I'm sure you know that. Like you're doing it yourself.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, and it's like as I like to say, it's like a part-time job, or sometimes it does feel like a full-time job. But
It's
yeah,
a lot of job that the YouTube thing, yeah, a lot.
oh yeah, it is a lot.
Even
So
this podcast is gonna be my YouTube channel, yeah. So I
Yeah.
have to process it, the intro, the outro, or what team
Yeah.
have to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one thing that you could do. Another thing is go to answerthepublic.com, put in 1 or 2 keywords, and you could also search both on Facebook and on Google, and you could see how many people are searching for those specific keywords and what else people are. So it's going to show you in the form of a wheel. It will show you what else people are searching for, how much traffic there is per month for those searches, and how much it costs you per click. So let's say if you do decide to run ads on Google or YouTube, it will show you, let's say, it's like $1 for that specific keywords, or 50 cents. But that way you'll get an idea of what is it that people are searching for exactly. So you take those topics and you create content based on those topics. So you take the topic itself, you go into ChatGPT, you write a good prompt, make sure that you have a really good prompt, because the quality of the questions that you ask will be the quality of the answers that you're gonna get. Like if you're gonna tell ChatGPT, give me, I don't know, write a video script about this topic, it will write you something, but if you'll be more if you'll basically give more specific, more details, you're gonna get an amazing script.
So then, Alex, thank you so much for being in the broadcast. I really appreciate it. And although not remember everyone yet, don't take customer acquisition seriously. And remember, it's not an overhead; it's an investment. And in times of crisis, if your competitors are not are cutting the budget in marketing and sales, this is exactly the same moment that you have to put the foot on the gas, because this is when it's happy days for you and for your business. So Alex, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. You do know what you're talking about. You're amazing, actually. So
Thank you.
so young, yeah. So we really are happy for this interview, and for all of you listeners. See you in our next episode of Unstoppable: How Brave Entrepreneurs like Alex break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.